Hola chicos y chicas, bienvenidos a un nuevo video del canal. Hoy estamos con un invitado muy especial, que es Adam Silvera, el autor de los libros que ven aquí. Al final mueren los dos, solo quedó nuestra historia y recuerda aquella vez. Adam, I'm so happy to meet you.
You as well, thank you so much for having me.
You are like the author of the year for me.
Oh cool, thank you, that's so cool.
I want to start asking you about the history of You Left Me.
Yes.
While I was reading your book, in one chapter, a smile was drawing on my face. Then I passed to another, and this smile disappeared, filling my eye with tears.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the idea of write the story of Griffin and Theo in that way?
Yeah, so originally the book was just gonna be all those sad chapters. So, so it was just the today section, and so the book only covered what happened after Theo died, not before. And halfway through the book, I realized that it was just too sad, and I didn't really, I know Griffin missed Theo, but I never got to meet Theo. We didn't know him the way we got to when I wrote the book this way. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go back and I'll write some history chapters, which makes sense because it's like that was always in the title. The title was always, it had a different title, but even when it was just the today section, it was called History Is All You Left Me, but it didn't have any history chapters. So then I went back and I started writing the history chapters, and it was so fun, and it taught me way more about what Griffin was going through, and everything that was happening in his life when Theo started dating Jackson, and yeah, so it was like a really great way to write the book, and I love that structure. I would love to do that again one day.
So how did you come up with the idea of write a book with Becky and Ricardo?
So Becky is one of my best friends. We have been talking about these characters since February 2014. We were like, man, we should write this book one day. And then we wrote that book last year in 2017. And we love it so much, and we can't wait for it to be available. It'll be available in Spanish in either December of 2018 or January 2019. So somewhere around there. And then, but we had so much fun writing it, and we would totally do it again.
Can you tell your readers what you and Becky are going to tell us in What If It's Us?
What we're going to tell you?
What is it about?
Oh, okay. So What If It's Us is about two boys, Arthur and Ben, who meet at a post office in New York City, and my character Ben is shipping his ex-boyfriend's things back to him after their recent breakup, and Becky's character Arthur is in town for the summer on an internship, and they meet, they are flirting, and it's super fun, but then they get separated without getting each other's contact information, no phone number, no Instagram. They do get reunited, but then they have a lot of trials, and it sort of raises the question that maybe they should have never found each other again in the first place. And it's a real combination of like Becky's happy books and my sad books, so get ready.
How was the experience of writing all these books?
It was so fun. I mean, it's the most fun either of us have ever had writing a book. It was just a total joy because writing a book is so lonely, and this time we got to write the book together, and we got to, whenever you were struggling with the story, we would just text each other like, hey, this is hard, and then we would just get on the phone and talk about it, and then it'd be great.
There are some things about your personal experience in your book?
So many of them. More Happy Than Not is really close to a lot of my stuff. If it's not something that happened to me, it's something that I was scared was going to happen to me. Like, all my books are both written on my personal experiences and also my greatest fears.
In your next books, do you think to write about some not LGBT characters?
I'm pretty much always going to write about queer people because that's my community. Those are the people who are my friends, who are my family. I'm never gonna write a book that's like just about a straight person falling in love, because unless there's a reason that character has to be straight, and I can't imagine what that would be, but unless they were like homophobic or something, you know, and like I'm not interested in writing about that. But I'm just always gonna write about queer people. It's how I've started, and it's how I intend to end all this.
I consider it important to visualize the point of view of LGBT characters. And it's clear that it's important for you too, but I would like to know why.
Well, I mean, it's just, first of all, characters who are queer are just so underrepresented in fiction, and books and comic books and TV shows and movies, video games, you know, every kind of story. Like, people like to pretend that queer people don't exist, and that's not the case, you know? Like, I didn't see a queer character myself until I was 19 years old, you know, and that's terrible. So I want to make sure that like queer kids are seeing themselves in fiction, because that's how they feel validated in their own lives. That's how they feel recognized, when they're actually able to be seen for the first time. So to feel seen.
How did it came through your mind to use those particular institutes like Theo or something like that?
Yeah. I asked these questions to myself, like in case I'm more happy than not. It was like, what if because people think sexuality is a choice, so it's like, what if you were gay and could forget that to be straight? Would you do it? And I was like, that's an interesting question, but like, we can't just like change our mind in the real world, you know? So I created the Memory Institute to allow me to be able to tell that story at the level that I want it to. And in the case of Deathcast, which I know is known as like sudden death, it was, you know, when people are young and they're healthy and they die all of a sudden. They just woke up that day and didn't know they were going to die. That's tragic. So I wanted to know, like, well, what if like you could know that you're about to die? Like, would you want to know? How would you live your life differently? And that's how Deathcast, Sudden Death, was born.
Esa ha sido toda la entrevista, chicos. Espero que les haya gustado. Consigan los libros de Adam, porque en realidad son muy buenos. Me han sorprendido. Es la revelación del año para mí como lector. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
really appreciate it.
Really love your books.
Thank you.
That's
Bye.
Bye.